The Title Block, episode number 2, Michelle Ramsay, part 2.
It's gonna snow tonight. I know I will be liking it. So let's go. Let's go. Step out of the house. Step into the wild. Put on that dress tonight. The one your mom don't like. I'll see you at the lights.
Welcome back to The Title Block, a podcast about Canadian theatre designers, their history and their craft. And I am your host, Michael Kruse, and thank you for joining us again. It's great to have you here to continue our discussion about Canadian theatre design. This is episode number 2, and this week I continue my chat with lighting designer Michelle Ramsay, but first, just some housekeeping notes. The origin of the term title block, if you are a new initiate to theatre, it refers to the portion of a technical drawing in which the title, the author, and the name of the designers and possibly the director are listed. So when we refer to the title block, we're of course referring to the people inside the title block. Those are the people I'm interested in speaking about on the title on this podcast. We are now on iTunes, so please leave a review. That would be terrific. You can also follow us on Twitter at the Title Block CA and on Facebook as the Title Block. And show notes are all at www.thetitleblock.com. As I said, this week I conclude my chat with lighting designer Michelle Ramsay, where we speak of some of her favorite shows and her work on theatre festivals in Toronto. I will be posting several archival photos so you can see what we are talking about in the show. So go to the website and check that out. Here's the rest of our chat. I will see you at the end of the show to wrap up. And we're back with Michelle Ramsay, lighting designer. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. So we had just talked about your kind of general philosophy and your approach to lighting design. I wanted to talk about something that I've never done before, which is sort of work on a collaborative design. Now, obviously, theater is by its very nature collaborative work, and that we learn to work in teams and create a piece of art as a team. But when you're working on one aspect of it, like especially lighting design, which is, I mean, most lighting designers sort of sit in their lighting design cave and do their thing, and then they go to the work, right? It's a very isolated kind of procedure, right, for very much of the process. How do you work with another designer on the same design?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the designs that I've worked on where I've had a co-designer or I've associated with someone,
Sure,
or
yeah.
other people have associated with me. Generally, it's because of availability. So either I get asked or they get asked to do the show, and I'm available for part of it, or the other person is only available for part of it, but they really want to stay involved in the project. So I've had a couple of shows where I've taken over shows from people. Or I've given shows up, or like part way through the process as well. But the co-designing thing, there have been a couple of circumstances where I've worked with one designer through the whole process up until a certain point, and then they leave. And it's really, for me, it really depends on the co-designer, on the other designer. So if your design aesthetics are similar, then you're generally going to be okay.
Right.
Or if there's a more senior person and you're answering to them, then basically you're just taking over design for them, or that kind of thing. Then that's the other way it works. But
Right.
yeah.
Now do you find them? Are there in any way better than just doing it by yourself, or are there advantages to doing it besides the time management issue?
Yeah.
Are there things that come out of it that wouldn't happen if you're just doing it by yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think because lighting designers don't ever work with other lighting designers, it becomes a really great way to come up with new ideas, or actually speak to someone about design specifically instead of just in a more general way, to kind of figure out a new angle that you've never tried before, try a new color you've never tried before, work on different cueing different ways to cue things. Like I think it's a really great way to just expand your education, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you assist anywhere as part of your?
No, I mean I assisted Andrea Lundy on a couple of shows, but that was again another, like she had to leave at some point in the process, and I would take over for her. And that for me was a really great education, because I find her design, design aesthetic is really has really influenced me in a lot of ways. Right. So yeah.
I found it when I first started the Shaw Festival, it was a real brand new experience for me to be in a room full of 6 designers sometimes, and having discussions you would never ever have, even in the university level, or even if you're at the bar with your colleagues afterwards. It was really, really different. How about now what about the division of labor? So, I mean, there's one person communicating with the operator. Do you guys decide beforehand, or does it just really depend on the show?
It really depends on the show. My first co-design was with Andrea Lundy on Russell Hill, which was a long time ago. Right. But she was definitely the more senior designer, and she did the cueing of the show, and then I think I took over at some point in Q to Q. So she would do most of the communication with the director and that kind of thing. And I really just took over the show from her. I mean, I did influence a little bit in Q to Q and that kind of thing, but that one in particular was definitely a lot of it was her. In terms of my work with my later collaborations with Rebecca Pitcherak, who I worked with quite a lot, or have in the past. Those were more collaborations, I would say. So we did a show called China Doll together, which was a Nightwood show, and we co-PM'd and co-designed. Oh my God. And, yeah, I know, we were ridiculous.
That was Marjorie Chen's work, right?
Yeah. But I can't remember exactly how it went, but I know that I think she was on headset for part of it. Maybe I was on headset for the other part, but it was very much more a division. The division of labor was a little bit more equal. And then in the case of Rough House, which was a show that basically the designer had to operate it as well. And I think how it came about was she was only available for up until opening, or just before opening, and then I kind of took it over, something like that. I can't remember the exact circumstances, but yeah.
Well, that's great. So let's talk about Rough House for a second. So tell me about the actual play. It's written by and performed by Andy Massian, right? Yeah. Directed by Brian Kurt.
Yeah.
What was it about?
What was it about? That's an interesting question. It was
It's pretty innocent, I think. When someone says, "What do you want to go see a show?" I say, "Well, what's it about?"
It was about one man in a room with a bowl, a light bulb, and a chair.
Okay.
It came out of some original. The original concept of the idea of the show was that, I think how it happened is that Brian approached Andy and said, "I want you to do this show about pratfalls." Buster Keaton and that kind of thing. And Andy and Rebecca and Brian started working together and workshopping the piece together. And then I came in for the production process. And we started rehearsing, and we had this light bulb that was a puppet and would sort of, not necessarily force him into things, but, the room was definitely the room was in charge of what was happening.
Right. So you could rein him in when he went off script.
Yeah, exactly.
Was there a script, or was it all?
It was wordless.
It was wordless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But was there a plan, or was it improv, the whole thing?
There was definitely a plan. There was a lot of really specific choreography that had to happen. The light bulb would, come in and swing around, and there was a lot of really specific things that we had to do in order to not hurt him. So it would hit him in the face. but not really hit him in the face because,
You don't want to, as much as you want to hit somebody in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
Equity would have a problem with that.
Yeah, exactly. And and then, but the design, the lighting design had was so integral to the piece. It had a lot to do with containment and kind of pushing him into something, like pushing him into doing things. So there was a sequence of choreographic sequence where light boxes would come up, top light boxes would come up, and he would try and catch them. And as soon as he got into the box, another one would come up. So it was.
Describe the light boxes to me. Were they actual physical pieces?
No, they were just squares of light on the floor.
Right.
So he would get into one of them and try and catch it, but
Right.
then it would go up onto the wall, and then his shadow was caught on the wall, and there was a lot of shadow work as well. So Andy and Brian are so brilliant at playing, right? So we would do, when we were creating the piece, we would do things like, and this is where Rebecca and I would kind of work together. We would turn on a couple lights and focus things together. And, we would, there's one thing right at the top of the show where there's a chair in front of a wall, with a shadow of the chair on the wall. And then the chair, the actor, Andy, pulled the chair away and there was still a shadow of a chair on the wall. And it was just an optical illusion, like we backlit a chair. But, we kind of discovered that through our collaboration.
Right. Were you in rehearsal for the entire process?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds like it had to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it was really, like the light was really another character in the show.
Right.
Yeah.
What a great opportunity.
Yeah, it was fun.
And well, that's a big commitment for a lighting
Yeah.
designer. How many weeks of
Yeah.
rehearsal was that?
Oh, geez. 3? I can't quite remember.
That's a big commitment for usually
Yeah.
contracts are what, 2.5 weeks,
Yeah.
and then you're doing 2 other things at the same time.
Yeah,
So how?
yeah.
I imagine that's why you needed 2 of you to be there. That was the advantage of having both of you
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
show.
yeah.
Great, and you did very well. You got a Dora
Yeah,
out of that.
Yeah.
Check 1 for Doras. Now, that's Rough House. I want to move on to another sort of a larger piece that is again sort of more movement based or mixed media, and that was April 14th, 1912.
Yeah.
Which is about the Titanic.
Yes.
Right. If my history serves me well.
Yes.
Tell me about that show. How did it come about? First of all, when was it produced?
It was produced in 2000. Oh, memory. 2006.
I've lost my piece of
I
paper.
don't know.
2006. Let's find out. Oh, it doesn't say.
Once
it may
again,
have been 2005. I think it
Yeah.
was 2005.
We did one production of it, and then we toured it for a couple of years after that in
I
various
see.
places. So
Okay.
yeah.
And how were you involved? Did you have the same kind of involvement with that? Did you come in at the beginning of the process and work with the?
Yeah,
team?
that show was with a company that I have a long-standing relationship with. Although that was only my second show with them. Theodore Resticle and Alison McMacken, who's the artistic director of the company and also the director of all the shows. And definitely we have a very collaborative kind of way of working. But generally, like I try and get into rehearsal quite early and try and get in before people are blocked and that kind of thing, or as they're being blocked, so I can kind of understand what's happening.
So back to my simplistic question. What was April the 14th, 1912 about? So tell me about the show. So we know it's about the Titanic.
Yes, it is about the Titanic.
Okay.
It was based on the Marconi, like not Morse code, but the Marconi operators. So it was a lot of the text. It's a movement theater piece, so there were 2 dancers and 1 actor in it. And so one of the dancers, one of the actors were the Marconi operators, and one of the dancers was actually the Titanic.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Now, wait a second. How was she costumed? He?
She was costumed. Lucy Rupert was costumed. And Lindsay Ann Black did this amazing costume design she used the colors of the ship and dressed her up like an old what's the word? Not a can girl, but like
a cigarette girl, or
yeah, like words.
Words are hard.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
words are hard.
It's okay.
Yeah, an old dance hall girl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so she it really kind of grotesque, and she had like seaweed kind of coming off of her, and it was a really beautiful costume in a creepy kind of way.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so you've got these three dancers. One is the Titanic and the two
Yes.
Marconi operators.
Yeah.
What was the arc like? What was the point, or what was
it
was the
it was
theme?
basically like we started with the glory of the time of the period, and the lushness of the ship, and the, you know, how beautiful everything was, and then we followed the Titanic as she was sinking. Right. So it was really it was sort of a strange piece, because it didn't really have a like the story was. The story was about the ship. So basically, the story was that we followed the ship sinking, and we followed her. We followed her emotional journey down into the depths of the bottom of the ocean.
Right. And how did you approach that?
Lots of editing coming.
That's right.
Yeah.
How did you approach that from a lighting standpoint? Did you? I mean, it was a dance piece.
Yeah.
Was there spoken word in it as well?
Yeah, there was not a huge amount of spoken word, but definitely like the ship spoke, and the two officers spoke as well. A lot in what was actually transmitted. Yeah. So I guess with that company in particular, it becomes more about evoking the feeling of the feeling that you would have at the bottom of the ocean. It's not about lighting the bottom of the ocean. It's about lighting the feeling, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I when talking with the director, I very often sort of find out where we're going to draw on that naturalism to abstract expressionism scale. Where do you draw that line on it? This sounds like it's much more expressionistic.
Absolutely. And that I did a lot of sort of research into the Titanic and into what, like, you know, I went and saw that the Science Center had a Titanic exhibit, and the artistic director brought us all to the
of course.
So
field trip.
Exactly. So we were able to actually go and smell the perfume that they found at the bottom of the ocean, which is insane. Yeah. And it was such a really great way to put yourself in the shoes of some of the people that were that died, because it was a crazy tragedy, right? Like, so kind of honoring that, but also creating, showing the destruction, and, you know, creating the there's one scene where the ship is sinking, and it's such a lonely slow descent into the bottom of the ocean. So kind of following that and creating that space, it was all light and sound and dancer, and that was it. There was no speaking, there was no so it was pretty amazing challenge.
Yeah, I can imagine. What space was it first produced in? It
was first produced at the Harbourfront Studio Theatre.
Okay.
And then so it was,
so not a very tall space. It's a sort of squat, like 12-foot ceiling or something.
And we did, Lindsay did the set design, Lindsay Ann Black did the set design for that. And she created this like crazy cold space out of plastic sheeting and a white dance floor. And this like
white dance floor, that's a challenge.
Yeah, I love working with white. Like, it's such a, as long as your director is okay with not getting a blackout and not, necessarily isolating people, then you can do some really amazing things with color. And I think if it wasn't white, it wouldn't have worked, I think, because I was able to use some really lush greens and really lush blues and really kind of do some amazing mixing and that kind of thing. So
Was there a lot of bounce? Like you used a lot.
Yeah.
And that has to be a feature, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Yeah. And it was, I find that it helps a lot, actually. It helps fill, and it helps give a height where a black room may not have given the height. So some people have said how that show made them see the studio theater in a completely different way. Like it felt bigger than it actually was.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. Yeah. It's a very small space. How much
is
it only seats like 80 to 100 people, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how many, but yeah, it's small.
I haven't been there for a long time.
No.
Well, that's excellent. And you got Dora,
yes,
number 17 for that. No, it's okay. That's terrific. And you've worked with Theatre Rustical several times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
Did you find that that was your second show with them?
That was my second show.
How you obviously have a shorthand with them now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How many shows have you done with them approximately?
5 now.
So by that point, they just sort of say, "Michelle, go do your thing," and then you sort of show up on the day.
Yeah. Allison and I have a really absolutely a really great shorthand. Like we barely have to speak sometimes, which is amazing that you can reach a point in your career where you just turn to your director and give them a look and you know what they're thinking.
Right. That's a big advantage.
Yeah.
Terrific. And then that was back in 2006, 7-ish.
Yes.
Moving forward, last year, 2 years ago, Ababarima, written by, say his name?
Taria McCarthy.
Directed by Evelyn Perry. At Buddies in Bad Times.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dora number 3. No. Dora number 7 or something. 4. So this show was another one-person show.
Yes.
At Buddies. And
with the musician that was on stage,
right.
and was a huge part of the a huge character. Yeah.
Right. And tell us about the arc of that show. Was it a narrative again, or was it?
Yeah, it was about his. It was about a coming of age story, basically, and experiences in coming to Canada and coming out in Canada and that kind of thing. It was a fictional story, but it drew on a lot of his previous kind of experience and knowledge. So, yeah.
Right. And how did you approach that? So you're at this point you're now well into the middle of your career. You've got you've got your palette, you've got your bag of tricks, as we say, right?
Yeah.
Do you find you're becoming much more efficient, less sort of stumbling around in the dark, figuring stuff out, or do you still have these moments where?
I mean, kind of. This show was great because we were able to do a production workshop. So we had, I think it was 2 weeks in the theater, in this August. I think it was August. And this production was like 8 months later or something. Time-wise, I can't remember exactly. But so we were able to be in the room with a mock-up of what we thought the set design would look like, and really get a good sense of what we wanted to do with the space. So, and I think it's essential if you want to have if you want to be able to have sort of a complete design concept. Having those workshops are so integral to it. Like it really makes a huge difference, I think.
Many times, especially in the past, the workshops have been just actors and scripts and a playwright writing furiously and ripping things up, and a dramaturg maybe. Yeah. It certainly is an advantage, it sounds like, to have designers involved in that process. Yeah, absolutely. And I think because of the way that I approach design, I approach it in a very sort of dramaturgical way, like and I think it also helps playwrights, and it helps new playwrights understand logistically what they need to think about as well. And I think that the work that we all did in that workshop really influenced the final product, and in a good way. And I think that there's definitely a strong need for that in theater. Right. Yeah. How much do you think we should be a slave to the script? Like, is the script a road sign, or is it a recipe book? I mean, I think depends definitely on the script. And I actually went through. I was in rehearsal today for a show, and the playwright who's in the show was very quick to cut things because they didn't work immediately.
And he realized that was the wrong thing to do, that all the homework that he had done actually did mean something, and that it was important to respect that, or at least try it. So I think it definitely depends on the situation, but the words are there for a reason. So,
Oh, words.
Yeah.
Always get in the way. It is kind of frustrating, though.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with lighting design, too. With set design, you can have a couple chances to get it wrong.
Yeah.
And now, if it goes horribly wrong,
Yeah.
too late in the process, you
Yeah.
can't fix it.
Yeah.
But with lighting design, you have such a short period of time in which to get it right. Do you get frustrated by people who sort of don't understand your process, or don't understand that the first time it's rarely right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I sort of think of it in terms, and try to explain it in terms of, well, you've had 3 weeks in the rehearsal hall and I have 1 day. Like, you can only do you can only do so much conceptualizing in your brain before you actually need to see something. And if what you see is not what you thought you were going to see, or if what you see is not what the director wants, then definitely it can be a frustrating thing.
You gotta figure out. That's where you earn your money as a lighting designer, absolutely.
Yeah.
And make your reputation, I think, as well.
Yeah.
If you fail at that point, you've basically failed your entire job.
Yeah. And I mean, definitely there are times where I've completely screwed something up, or how I think it, like what I think it's gonna look like is not at all what it's gonna look like. And it's okay, and it actually ends up being better. Right. But that kind of happens rarely.
Yeah, well,
usually
I think
when you screw up.
You really screw up
Yeah.
bad. I think once you get, I mean, everyone has their mistakes and their bad days, but once you get to a point where you know what you're doing, I think it's much easier to sort of let go of that process and just accept what happens as part of the art. It's a live event, right? It's not a piece of static. It's not static painting. All right, so let's move on to, you've done a lot of work in festivals, and festivals are a whole different animal, right? I mean, these ones, the shows that we've spoken about have been single productions that have all the resources that all the resources that are available are yours to do with. Festivals, you have to share, and you have to negotiate. It has to be constant sort of compromise. Sometimes, a lot of the times, to the detriment of the design. You've worked at you've been the festival designer at the Rhubarb Festival, Summerworks as well. The Fringe you've production managed. Have you designed? Fringe is a different model, right? Each venue has its own designer based on the tech.
Yeah, and I've done house plots for Fringe, and I've also been in the Fringe as a company and designed Fringe shows. So yeah.
And the Shaw Festival, we'll get to in a second. That's a whole kind of larger animal.
Yeah.
How do you approach a festival? Like, how does a designer, a festival designer, first of all, somebody who's responsible to creating the tools for other designers to come in and use, how do you approach that and do it fairly and efficiently and create something that is useful?
Usually what I do, especially at the Rhubarb Festival, I'll write all of the companies ahead of time and say, hey, what do you guys need? What do you want? And sometimes I get responses and sometimes I don't. Generally I find it, helpful even if they're not able to tell me, oh, I need 6 areas of cool front. Even if they tell me, oh, I need isolation, or I need this is what the play is about. Maybe you can tell me what I need, and that's also helpful. So it's just about like managing requests from the various areas, and also making sure that there's enough room for error. So if people have, like, I know that no one's asked for warm tops, but they're probably going to need warm tops at some point in the festival. Someone's going to want a gobo breakup at some point.
Gobo breakup.
Put that in,
May as well. Throw it in there, the gobo breakup. The Rhubarb Festival recently lost some funding.
Yes.
That was quite important.
Yeah.
Do you want to maybe talk about how you think it's going to impact maybe theatre in Toronto or theatre in Canada and that kind of incubation?
Well, I mean, the Rhubarb Festival is such an important festival in Toronto and in Canada, and especially what I think they're doing now with it. It's become it's become less about necessarily play development. I think it was more about play development in the early years. Now it's about kind of more experimentation. I think. I mean, I don't know for sure, but there's a lot more kind of performance artists coming in, and which I think is it's a great thing what they're doing with the festival, because it's introducing people that you may never have heard of as theater artists, and kind of giving them a voice. And I think it's a shame that they are not, able to give them a little bit of extra cash to buy that important prop that they need to buy, or I don't know exactly how it's impacted the festival right now. I think, I just did a focus for it the other day, and everything seems to be running all right, but I don't know the specific, I don't know the logistics of the day-to-day financing.
Right. So it's going to, it's going to continue.
Yeah.
The plan is not to cancel it. The plan is to continue on, because it's an important festival.
Yeah.
Summerworks is a bit different. It's a curated festival. There's an artistic director. Does that require a bit more of a soft touch when it comes to lighting design, or is it the same approach as you would get at the Fringe, where you've got 120 companies and it's for a free-for-all?
Well, it hasn't always been a curated festival. It started out as a Toronto's response to people that didn't necessarily get into the Fringe. So it was created to give another venue for Toronto theater artists to perform. And only in the last, 7 years or 8 years, has it become a curated festival. And things have sort of changed in terms of what is available to in terms of technical abilities. They get a longer tech rehearsal, which I think helps create a little bit of a better product. But as a designer, it doesn't necessarily impact. I still want, I still try and do the same job, as a house designer as any other festival. So, yeah. Now
the Shaw Festival is a different animal. It's a much larger beast. It is a rep theater festival. Mm-hmm. And each production obviously is fully formed. Mm-hmm. You did Arcadia there. What year did you do Arcadia?
Just this past summer.
Yeah. And it was in the studio.
Yep.
Theater. And that's the new venue there, is that right?
Yeah. It's a rehearsal hall turned into
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was always designed to be a performance space, but they use it as a rehearsal hall for most of the season.
Right. And it is a rehearsal hall for quite large venues, so it's not a small space.
No, it's not a small space.
It's very big.
Yeah.
I mean, for most sort of small black block theaters in Toronto, it's huge. It's twice the big. Yeah. It's the Factory Theater inside.
Yeah.
How did you? Now, was this a rep?
No. The two I've done the last 2 summers there. I did Helen's Necklace there the year before, and the good thing about being in the studio is that you have your own plot.
Right. So there's no negotiation with anybody else.
No, I don't have to really talk to anyone else if I don't want to.
Oh well, that's much better. Take that.
Yeah.
Arcadia posed you some challenges, right? This is the Tom Stoppard play, so it's not a new play.
No.
It's got a rich history, and there's a way that some people think it should be done. Mm-hmm. So how did you approach it, and what sort of difficulties did you run into?
Well, I mean, it's an incredibly dense play. It's got so much science and mathematics, and figuring out the patterns of what the play actually was extremely difficult for all of us, and I think that we were able to eventually get there, but because of the structure of the festival, by the time we figured out what the ending was going to be, it was kind of too late to fix it. So we were playing catch up for so long, just trying to get, and a lot of it rested on me because we hadn't figured things out until way too late. It was kind of too late for me to get it right. So I couldn't add new lights because it was too late to add new lights. I had to use exactly what was in the air, which was not necessarily what we needed. So like your question earlier about what to do when when it's too late to fix things, or when do you decide, is it too late to fix things? This was definitely a case of that. So yeah.
So despite the fact that it was a it was its own production. You still have
Yeah.
to deal with actor schedules and
Yeah.
the rep schedule. You're using people
Yeah.
that are doing 2 or 3 other shows
Yeah.
already.
So yeah, that's exactly the reason that we weren't able to fix it, because we were only able to rehearse, 4 hours a day. So because the play was so long, that was our rehearsal was running the play. So in order to actually fix things, we couldn't. I had to do things sort of, yeah.
Who puts Arcadia in
Yeah.
that time slot? That's
Yeah,
kind of
I
strange
don't
too. But that's how we discover new things.
Yeah, and it ended up being a really beautiful production. I think it was quite successful on many levels. If I had the opportunity to do it again, I would revamp how I did the ending. You know what I mean? Like it would be nice to get a chance to fix it.
Right, of course.
Because we always want to.
We always want to fix it.
Yeah.
Kevin Lamont says
Yeah.
that he wants to. He every time he approaches something, he wants it to be the quintessential play. He thinks this is
Yeah.
what it should be done.
Yeah.
And very rarely do we have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for chatting with me today, Michelle Ramsay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did it make you laugh? I said no. Oh no. Strip lights too bright. Give me some night. Give me something to do with somebody like you. We could be in the sky. I'll see you at last.
Thank you, Michelle. That was my discussion with lighting designer Michelle Ramsay. It was great to speak with her, and I hope you have a sense of her life and her aesthetic. Next time on the Title Block, I speak with another lighting designer, Kevin Lamont, and that will be out in a couple weeks, so come back and listen to us then. The intro and extra music is PodSafe music by the 1990s called See You by the Lights. Please go to iTunes and give us a review. It will help get the word out about this podcast and share the history of theatre design in Canada. And feel free to share this with your friends, colleagues, students, and teachers, or listen to it during your smoke break at the Zitz probe, where you try not to meet the eye of the props guy whose lighter you borrowed and did not give back. I am Michael Kruse, and I will see you next time on The Title Block.
I see light in you.